My focus today would be to walk all of you through some tips and tricks of being able to put up articles without necessarily having citations. I don't want to make this about not adding references to Wikipedia because that's not what we want. We want to make sure that we are doing the right things on the Wikimedia platforms, but of course, there are some article types that do not require referencing or citation, and we'll walk through some of those. We'll as well also talk about some of the tips on how to clean up Wikipedia articles, if it is something that's of interest to you, and then maybe talk about some disaggregation pages and stuff like that. So for today, I'm going to be walking you through the list of articles, which is a type of article that is written on Wikimedia platforms. I also walk you through the list of lists, which is also an article type that exists on the Wikipedia platforms. And then we'll do some cleanup tasks, or we'll talk a little bit more about some cleanup tasks, and then we'll go off from there. But then I will also be dissecting the theme a little bit before we start, just to set the mood in the room whilst we go through all of these other topical areas. So I know this year you guys have basically selected a theme that's unconventional, a theme that is challenging you guys to think beyond what you normally do on the Wikimedia platforms. With a little bit of research, I was able to uncover certain things around the theme. And I think most of the times when people hear repatriation and reparations, the only thing they think about is slave trade. But I believe there's so much that you guys can delve in as part of this campaign this year. And some of the things that I found out was like colonial systems that existed back in the day. Those are topics that you can write about as part of your research and contributions to the Africa Wiki Challenge. Monuments, so monuments that exist in your country. A lot of the monuments that exist in our countries are historic days monuments. And so I believe it's quite similar to other countries on the continent. So that's something that you can look at. I know this campaign also has a photo component. So those are some of the things that you can target as part of the things that you capture for the campaign. As you may see in the photos on the left, these are some photos from across Africa that already exist on Wikipedia, but other ones that people can capture as part of this campaign. Political systems in your country, social systems in your country, and recent news. This last point is very important to me because a lot of the changes in the recent news about Africa is about coup d'etats, it's about Africans taking back their narrative, it's about changing what the status quo has been. And I will use my own country as an example, Ghana. So Ghana just started a reform around our gold policy, and these were policies that existed before we took on independence. And so by doing so, you can classify those kinds of news items as part of this campaign that you're running this year. I know Burkina Faso has a junta leader that is taking over the country and changing things. Also, kicking out some colonial powers and stuff like that. All of those kinds of news, I think, or I believe, can be captured as part of this campaign. And don't forget that Wikipedia does not only cover past and historic things, you can cover new, present, and current things as well on Wikipedia. So this is just me thinking through some of the things that maybe you're not looking at that you could do as part of this campaign, and encouraging you to think more broadly on some of the things that you can capture as part of this. Now, to begin the conversation on like what I'm going through today, I'm going to start with a list of articles or list articles. I know for those of you who are new or those that may have been here for a while and have never seen something like this, you're wondering, what is this list articles? So list articles, or what we call the standalone lists, are articles that consist of one or more embedded lists or a series of items presented in a list format. What we mean by this is, so if there are a couple of articles that you would normally write, which would include something like um, schools in my region, right? You could as well turn those schools in your region into a list of articles. And so a list of articles covers just all of those things that could be recorded on Wikipedia. That means it has to meet the notability standard, all the things that could be covered on Wikipedia, but then creating a list out of it. And so, for example, let's think of some of them. a list of the schools in Nigeria, a list of courts in Nigeria, a list of presidents of Nigeria, a list of prominent people from Nigeria, a list of people that have won the Forbes 30 under 30 from Nigeria or from Cote d'Ivoire or from somewhere else, right? This is what we mean by a list of articles. And so on the left in the picture, you would see an example of a list. And this is a list of all sovereign states in the world. And so, sorry, a list of all sovereign states in Africa. So this shows you the list of all of the countries that exist on that. Of course, I couldn't take a photo of all of that, so you see just a snapshot of that. As I did mention earlier on, even though it's a list, it must meet the notability standards of Wikimedia. And so it's important for you to follow those guidelines when you're actually putting up a list. And on the next slide, I'll be showing you the features of a list of articles. And so to be able to put up a list of articles, most of the times what you need is a description of what you are writing so that when people see the list, they understand what you're writing about. And then you go ahead and put together the list. I would normally say a list of articles normally does not require citations or references, right? But then most of the times what you will need is just a reference in the introductory text of the list or the descriptive text of the list, just to ascertain what people are looking at, and then you can go on and put together the list. The list in itself does not need citations to prove anything on that list. And so what you basically need is just a citation to ascertain what you're writing about, and then you can go on and put together the list. And so in this particular example, the overall or the point one, as stated on the picture, is the descriptive text of what people are going to read in this list, right? And then, as you can see, there are a few citations to ascertain what the description is and to prove what the description is saying. And so, for example, there is a fact here at 2 that says that the following 54 fully recognized states are all member states of the United Nations and the African Union, right? So this is a fact that is being claimed as part of the description and hence requires a citation to prove that. And so in this list article, as you're looking right now, there's only one citation that is being seen in here. All the other things are not necessarily citations. And so if you look at the countries, a citation is not being added to that. And that is what we mean by creating a list article. So a list of articles is one of the easiest ways that you can record a host of things in your country, especially as part of this campaign, without necessarily needing any citation to be able to do that. Now, we will be looking at the do's and don'ts of what we call the list articles. Like I did say earlier on, the do's, the list article must be a notable list. And when we say a notable list, you cannot just get up and say a list of, let's say, for example, Felix's friends, right? Felix's friends cannot be a notable list on Wikimedia. But if you say the list of African countries are notable, they are known across the world. And so having a list of that makes a lot of sense. A list of prominent people from Cameroon will make a lot of sense because it gives you the list of all important people in Cameroon. So when you're creating a list, normally have the notability guidelines and policy in your head. Then every list must follow the naming convention, list of. And so you start it off with a list of, and then it follows with whatever you're describing or whatever you're going to talk about. And then it must also follow the policy, the Wikipedia content policies. And these Wikipedia content policies are verifiability, neutral point of view. So you don't say because you are writing a list, you just write things, you just copy and paste things from other sites and then that's it. You have to follow the principles of Wikipedia still on this, which is by ensuring that whatever you're putting there is verifiable. At least there can be a source to prove, and then also ensuring that it is written in a neutral point of view. It is not written in a language that feels like it's marketing or it's in a language that's embellishing a particular thing that you're writing about. Then some of the don'ts are references are not necessarily required. So like your normal article where you'll be needing referencing for every fact or everything that you put on the list of articles don't require something like that. And so you can go on and write a list with just one or two citations, and then that's it. You don't need anything. Then avoid copy value. Because this is a list does not mean you can just go copy from third-party sites and then just paste them on a list. Just like you would do on a normal Wikipedia article, you must respect copyright violations. And so you don't copy things and paste them out there. You make sure that you paraphrase the things they are copying, and then also make sure that you're writing them in a neutral point of view. Then avoid formatting for standard articles. So normally when you're writing articles, you would look at if it's a biography of a living person, the intro text of the person, the background, where they were born, early life, and all of those kind of things. That is not the conventional way of writing list of articles. And so just like I showed you, there's just a description and then the list goes underneath it, and that's a complete list of articles.